What is up, everyone? This is Garrett Pace with Lakeside Media, and today we're going to be talking about how to get started in filmmaking. As some of you may have noticed, we've really been hustling on Instagram recently and have basically been able to 10x our following over the past couple of weeks. And with this new growth has come something that's very new to us, and that is lots and lots of DMs from people all over the world. Now, what does all this have to do with the title of this video? Glad you asked. A common trend with a lot of these DMs is people saying, hey, I'm interested in filmmaking. What do I do? They may not have a camera. They may not have anybody that can teach them. They're just asking, how do I get started? And since I was getting so many of these, I figured I might as well make a YouTube video about it so that the next time I get asked this question, I can point them here and give them a more well thought out answer than a couple of sentences of me typing and responding in the DMs on Instagram. Quick disclaimer, please keep in mind that everything that I talk about in this video is based on my own experience. There's probably infinite number of ways that you can get started with filmmaking and potentially even make it into a career. So all I can really talk about is my own personal experiences. I have no idea if the path that I took is the best way or even a good way. All that I know is so far it's worked for me. I can present those, tell you how it worked for me, and then do with it what you will. Hopefully it helps you. First off, I'm going to give a really quick backstory on why I got into this, how I got into this. Basically, since I was a little kid, I've wanted to be an actor, and I actually pursued that for a number of years, both in North Carolina where I live and also on the West Coast in LA and in Las Vegas. When I moved back to North Carolina, I decided that I wanted to start shooting my own stuff and putting myself in it so that I could act and I could play the different characters I wanted to play. The biggest hurdle that I had to overcome at this point is I had no idea the proper technique for filming anything, especially like a narrative. I reached out to a friend from high school and also to my cousin. None of us really knew what we were doing, but we started filming stuff. One of the first things you may notice from that backstory is I never went to film school. I often get asked in these DMs what school I recommend, and I always have to say, well, to be honest with you, I can't really recommend anything because I never went. That would be one of the first things you decide is whether or not you go to film school. For me personally, if I had it all a do-over, I still would not have gone to film school. I think the way that I went about learning all this stuff was best for me, but that's not to say you shouldn't go. The biggest thing you have to realize is either way, you have to start with education in some way. You have to learn the general basic concepts first. And whether you learn that in film school or somebody teaches you that directly as like a mentor, or you learn it on YouTube or in a book, it doesn't matter. You just have to gain that knowledge one way or another. A lot of that is going to have to do with how you learn. What's the best way for your learning process? For me, it was consuming a lot of information and then going out and practicing it and seeing where I messed up and then consuming more information and repeat. Either way, get your education first. There are thousands of YouTube videos nowadays teaching all this stuff. Some of the channels that I have learned from is Film Riot, Philip Bloom, Peter McKinnon, Maddie Hapoya, Newman Films. There's a number of great YouTube channels that you can learn different things. Some focus more on different aspects of it. Some cover everything. So figure out which style of video you like, but just start off by checking those out or directly type in a part that you don't understand. The biggest thing that I harp on with this is you'll never learn how to do this unless you just get out there and shoot. You just have to actually start taking whatever information you get from whether it's a school or YouTube or a friend or whatever, and then putting it into practice. A lot of people get hung up on one project, and if you spend several months on a little short film when you're first starting out, I don't feel like that's the best way. I feel like you're better off to just finish it, put it out, understand the problems you had had with it, figure out how to fix them, and make another one so you can discover the next set of problems you're gonna have, because that's what we're doing all along. An example of how we did this is a few years ago, we went through a stretch to where we committed to trying to put something out on YouTube once a week. So we would come up with an idea of a short film or web series or a little skit, sketch, whatever, that we would film and complete within 1 week and put it out. And we did that for 3 or 4 months straight. Repetition, learning as we go. And the crazy thing is, if you looked at a gig we had before we did that and then look at the very next gig we had, it was night and day difference between the two. The only variable is that we just shot more and more and more and more. And you can see a lot of these things that we shot if you go to our YouTube page and just scroll all the way back to the beginning, the stuff that we were first starting to put out. And you'll see how much we've been able to progress from then to now. Some of this stuff was okay, some of it was terrible, but you have to accept that you're not gonna be that great when you first start. The goal should be for the very first thing you ever make to be the worst thing you ever make. So you're constantly progressing. Every new thing you do is better than the thing you did before, which is why I said don't be hung up on one project. In summary of all of this, the biggest advice I can give: shoot as much as you can with whatever you can get your hands on. Edit it, complete the project, put it out there, whether you actually post it to the world or you just send it to some of your friends or you send it to me or whatever, but put it out there, get some eyeballs on it, get some feedback, figure out what you can improve on, check out some YouTube videos or whatever your desired source of education is to learn how to fix these problems, or just go and experiment and try something new yourself. But the main thing is shoot, finish it, put it out there, go back, shoot again, keep doing it over and over and over. As an experiment, I wanted to actually take the advice that I'm giving you. All of these people that have been DMing me, they're DMing me on Instagram, so I know that they have a cell phone. You can't say you don't have a camera if you have a cell phone and you're using Instagram. Obviously, the quality of a cell phone will not be as good as something like this or even higher level stuff, but that doesn't matter, especially when you're learning. If you can figure out how to make a cell phone look good, then when you break this thing out, you're not gonna have any trouble. What we did was we shot a scene with nothing but my iPhone 10. I used super cheap lights and natural light. I came up with the most basic scene I could think of. Kyle at his desk working, he drinks his water or whatever and it's empty. He decides, oh, I want some more. He goes downstairs, he pours himself some drink and he drinks it. Super simple story to show you that it doesn't have to be elaborate. Just keep the story within the means of what you have access to, so that won't get in your way. You can worry about crafting more in-depth stories later, but now when you're first starting out, you have to learn the craft. But do have some storyline, some goal you're trying to accomplish, because then that'll help you hone in on your shot selection, because you actually have to do a specific narrative in some way rather than it just being a montage of cool shots. If you're looking for something to film, be sure to check out this video I did on how to get footage for your reel. Although that's specifically more targeted for building a demo reel, I do talk about ways of just finding things to film. We shot this little scene with the iPhone and a cheap light. I'm gonna show that to you now so you can see. Obviously, it's not gonna look as good as some of the stuff we do because of the gear, but do not let that discourage you. Use whatever gear you have and learn how to make it look as good as you can. And then as you level up in gear, your stuff's only gonna look that much better. So here's a scene, Kyle being thirsty. Check it out. So that is all for today. If you enjoyed this video, click that thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you like content like this, please consider subscribing. We're gonna put out videos like this every week, whether it's in the form of me talking directly to the camera or as vlogs of our adventures on gigs or whatever it is that we're up to. We'd love to have you a part of this community. So until next time, keep shooting with whatever camera you can get your hands on, whatever gear you can get your hands on. Finish the project, put it out there, and then just do it over again. And if you do that, I promise you, you will get better. And that, as far as gear pace is concerned, is how you get started in filmmaking. We'll see you soon.